Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AJSN Average Joe Sports Podcast. I'm Stu.
Tommy Wiseau here.
Logan Wetzel.
Today's sponsor is nobody. So,
Why'd you even bring it up then?
because I thought it was funny.
Man, they paid the money and they signed the contract, so it's perfect.
And
that is true. I am a proud supporter of nobody's business. So
anyway, so the AAF apparently almost went under this weekend.
yeah, to put it lightly, somehow they found themselves $250 million in the hole after 1 week of games.
How you do that, I don't know, but
That's the one thing I'm trying to figure out, right? So obviously, they had to do marketing for getting the league promotion, right? They had to sign these big TV deals, but they're getting money from that, not spending it. Obviously, they got some good viewers in, probably a little bit more than expected, but I don't understand where you're losing $250 million.
you have the backing of the freaking Eversols, for God's sake.
Well, see, that's the way that they lost $250 million as easily as it made it sound that they did, they got $250 million back almost just as easy. By the time I had heard that they needed $250 million, somebody had already paid it, which is just wild to me.
Yeah, but shout out to Tom Dendon, the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, for throwing the $250 million needed to get them out of debt so they can pay people.
But it's like, but I think I read somewhere that the league actually shot down. No, it's not true. We weren't in the whole 250 million.
Where did you see that?
I forgot where, but I think it was a headline that said league denies being in the hold or something like that.
Yeah, I think they made a press conference today and kind of glanced over it. But, end of the day, they got a very nice backer and a very passionate owner in Tom Dendon. And, they have a lot to look forward to. Obviously, people are going to start getting paid. And I don't think this is as big of a concern as people are making it out to be. Obviously, when you're trying to run a startup league, you're going to lose money, especially when you're trying to run one on this scale with the players and names that you have in the league. So I don't think it's too much to be concerned about. It's something that, it shouldn't be overlooked like they did in their press conference today. But
it concerns me because, you have the backings of powerful, rich people. You obviously have enough to put into advertising and TV deals. It's obvious you had enough to get all this started. We already said where they lose money, but how do you lose that much money?
They spent way too much too quickly is what I'm thinking. And, that happens. Operating costs are really taxing on big startups like this.
I don't doubt that it takes $1 million to produce an episode of the freaking Boondocks, or at least it did. But it's it concerns me because it's last week it's everything's fine and dandy. There's spring football now. Everything's great. The AAF's supposed to be the league that the spring league does everything right.
And then next week everything hits the fan.
Yeah, all of a sudden now they're $250 in debt, and it's
that's not that much. That's
the World Football League, whatever it was, where Birmingham had the Americans. They couldn't finish their second season because they were in the hole so much.
With the $250 million, they are financed through the next season, so there will be at least a season 2.
Yeah, but look, you can't.
And at the end of the day, if they break even, there will be a season 3 afterwards. That's their goal. Their goal is to break even for these first 2 seasons. You're not going to make profit in year 1. I don't think
you're not, because it's a startup league. No matter how much you advertise it, no matter who's backing it, you can't.
It's a startup league, a niche market, because minor league football is not huge in the United States. Obviously, look at the way the AFL's turned out. Look at the way the XFL turned out. It's not a huge market. Because people expect quality when they look for football. College football has got a bunch of young names and bright talents, and the NFL obviously has the world's best at the sport. So minor league football, when it's like, oh, they're not NFL talent, but it
But
doesn't have the same flashiness of college football.
the football ain't bad though. Is the
I
thing.
I know. I personally enjoy it, and I plan on going to the next 3 Birmingham Iron games when they're at home. So, like I said, I don't think it's something to be too concerned about, but it's something you can't overlook.
No, and I guess we'll learn more in the coming weeks. I don't know, because I feel the leagues is just gonna kind of brush this under the rug, or they're gonna try to, and you're gonna have people who are critics and people who like the league. You're gonna have those people questioning, okay, why did you get so much in the hole at first? Why are you just brushing over it? This is a big deal.
No, you raise a good point with that, Stuart. The Arena Football League was doing very well its first several years. They had the EA Sports even had a video game for them, and they came out with
Oh,
AF2, which was really a minor league to the Arena Football League.
right. The Birmingham Steel Dogs,
Interesting.
dude.
Yes, and the Tennessee Valley Vipers, where the headquarters were located for a long time up in Huntsville. But, that started to dissolve. And then the AFL itself started to devolve only in a span of about a year or two. And they decided to reform, and they came out with the AF1, which basically was just the AFL in a nutshell. And then somehow the AFL found enough money to survive at least one more season. And then they renamed it again back to the AFL. I would hate to see the same thing happen to the AAF just because of mismanagement of funds. I mean, it's not good for anybody involved. With that being said, we're dealing with a lot more money here with the AAF. I understand that most AFL players were only paid $500 or $600 a game, and if you lost, I think it was even less than that.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, like these guys are pretty much they're given non-guaranteed 3-year contracts for $250,000 each. So that is a lot of money to be playing with, and obviously they just didn't have it at the time because they'd spent so much probably
But
on advertising and merchandising and operation costs.
but yeah, that concerns me. How do you mismanage funds when you're something
Well, I mean, you
this
do.
big and supposed to be professional and supposed to do it right?
However,
How do you
you got to
do
look that
this?
there's one dude who owns all 8 teams and has to operate all 8 teams while also trying to operate a giant corporation alongside it as well. It's there's so many factors that go into it. It is scary. Especially for the dudes playing
Yeah,
because
it is. That's why
you
I'm
got
so
you got to
concerned.
think that for the guys playing that you know they're trying to just get back into the league, and some of these guys are probably living on these paychecks. These are livable wages that they're playing for. So they really rely on these checks coming in every week.
I mean, cause yeah, they're relying on these checks. I mean, back in the old days, in I would before and even after 1920s when guys were playing baseball. Baseball was just a pretty much a regular job for the 6 months of the season. After that, they went and got another job because you couldn't because just baseball didn't pay the way it did today. Wages were just so much lower back then. You know, I just figured, I bring that up because these guys, they can live off what they got. They're not making millions like they are in the NFL. So you have. I mean, I'm glad they got the 250 million to pay these guys because they need to get paid. But what if you don't have that 250 million to pay
Yeah.
these guys?
So say
Then
in
what
the
happens?
scenario where
Screw everybody.
where Denton doesn't put forth the money, what happens with the loss of 250 million? The league just collapses at that point. So but it's kind of a good sign as well because you got a really passionate billionaire who sees potential in this league actually succeeding to put forth $250 million into something like this, despite what they were working with. So it's a mixed bag situation at the moment, and until we get more details, there's not really much for us to elaborate on.
Look, at the very least, it's probably one of the best things the Hurricanes franchise has done ever.
Hey, they won the cup.
When?
2006, dude.
Oh yeah. Well, best thing they've done in the past
Hey,
13
they
years.
they won a cup more recently than both of our teams, so
At least the Flyers won back to back, and we're
The
known
big,
for the Broad Street Bullies.
yeah,
the big
but they've won more recently than we have. I
this
mean,
is really unifying Auburn and Alabama fans alike, and you see it come alive when you go to the games.
we got Steelers fans and Browns fans cheering for the same team. Like, how?
Like, and
The
yeah,
beauty of football, eh?
this league and this team has just been great. It's been great for the sport just in general. Because at the end of every NFL and NCAA football season, at the end of the day, we're all Iron fans.
I mean, maybe not all of us. There's like 7 other teams, but
Well, in the state of Alabama, I mean, you'd be wild to not go for them. I mean, look what
yeah,
it's doing for the economy, and you've got all these former Auburn and Alabama players, whether you like them or not. Hey, say what
yeah,
you want. This is great. I think.
yeah. I think it's good for the state as a whole, but like, to still have the league end up losing $250 million, and like I
Well,
said, until we get more details, there's only so much we can elaborate on.
yes. Well, it's safe to say that the city of Birmingham, or the people that go to the Birmingham Iron games, they themselves cannot make up. No individual team in the AAF can make up for that 250 million. I mean,
No,
obviously one man
the
and
the Iron have the largest following on Twitter, and it's like just past 50,000 this today actually.
wow.
I know the team in the smallest market has the biggest fan base, so we're just that great, eh? Anyway, should we transition into the week 2 games then to get on a much more lighter note?
Because that's something we can elaborate on, and I want to make a few key points from some takeaways I got. I didn't get a chance to watch any of the Sunday games. I watched a little bit of the Iron game. I was working, so But takeaways I got is kickers make a difference in a good and a bad way. The running game finally got off the ground. Finally had someone get over 100 yards, for God's sake. It was Zach Stacy, I believe, for the Express.
Yeah, we'll get to that later on in the day.
And the Irons defense is the best in the league. Fight me.
4.5 points allowed per game. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. They got a touchdown on special teams by stripping the ball out and recovering it in the end zone.
Oh no, they were. I'm pretty sure all their fumbles were like strips. That defense was just ruthless.
Yeah.
And the only thing keeping us in the game, mind you, not like the offense doing anything.
Hey, wait a minute. We'll talk to that. We'll talk about that in a second. So,
from what I noticed when I watched, receivers were still dropping passes. Richardson cannot have a big run to save his life. I have a whole spiel about Richardson. I will say this. I think he's a much better receiving running back than he is an actual rushing running back.
He actually led the team in the game against Salt Lake in receiving yards with 50.
Trent Richardson?
Yeah.
No, he's good in the open field. Put him out in the open field.
He reminds me a lot of sort of a Derrick Henry type back, where you need to get him some momentum going forward, because once he gets it, he's not going to stop. And we've actually seen that sometimes where he's shaking off a tackle or two and just carried for 7 yards in one of his best rushes of the season.
I mean, he still has ability. And you know what? As crappy as crappy as he is, at least in my opinion, still a great running back to have in the red zone. He still has every single offensive touchdown for us this year through 2 weeks.
Which is kind of a shame, and it's also kind of a point to bring on about the receiving game, because the receiving game is really letting down Louis Perez. I'm a big supporter of the guy. He passed for 184 yards, which is not a bad performance considering he went 24 for 38. You know, but that number could once again be 50 to 100 yards greater had receivers, actually had hands.
Yep.
It's probably going to be a recurring theme this season, and I hate that because Perez is a really good quarterback. And he's got a lot of the good fundamentals now. Obviously, he makes a mistake here and there, but so does every other quarterback who's ever played the game. So,
And I talked about Quentin Patton last week and how I think he's going to be a playmaker in this league.
yeah,
Still having problem dropping passes, but he still had a couple big catches from what I understand.
he could have had a couple more had he not dropped a few passes.
I know, and just and what also frustrates me, I really think these guys could benefit from playing with, at least one tight end or having a two tight end set more often because I see great potential in both Connor Davis and Brandon Bowden.
Yes.
I think they can both catch the
Bowden
ball.
did really well last week.
And here's the thing. A tight end that can catch is your best friend.
Absolutely.
Just look at, Penn State football is a great example. One of Trace McSorley's best receivers was his tight end, Mike Gesicki. Gesicki was great, especially at those 50-50 balls that Trace loves so much. Jesse James, a Penn State tight end, he's in the NFL.
Heck, look at the Tennessee Titans. Their best receiver for the longest time has been Delaney Walker, and he's a tight end. Easily one of the league's best, but he's really made the passing game a lot easier for Marcus, and you could tell just in last season alone that not having him there, having a strong tight end like Delaney Walker's really affected Marcus Mariota's game.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. And my thing is with the receivers, and I was thinking about this the other day, Quan Bray, I'm sorry, the guy's glorified because he played at Auburn during some decent years. But he's really kind of overrated. Is there an option for free agency during the regular season?
I don't believe so. But, Chris Davis is still rehabbing an injury at the moment. I believe once he comes back in, I'm certain he'll take over special teams duty. I wouldn't be surprised.
Duty.
Yes. Well, like I said, with Quan Bray on offense and special teams, he's just dropping the ball, literally.
But let's move the conversation over to the Iron Defense, or the Iron Curtain, as it's more commonly known at this point.
Thank you, Iron Twitter.
Do you think that the Iron Curtain is being benefited from sloppy quarterback play the past 2 weeks, though?
Yes, I think. I think over the span of the rest of the season, we will see them slowly decrease in performance. I don't know if I'd say that. I'd probably say on paper we're going to see them getting worse. Not because they're, but because competition is going.
Say that, and we can't even get a real answer for that next week because next week we go to Atlanta and they play Matt Sims at quarterback. So,
and as far as I'm aware, Matt Sims still sucks.
Yeah, he does.
We know Hackenberg still sucks because he had over 100 yards, but it took him like 20-something passes just to get there.
Well, isn't the Atlanta Legends, isn't their offense one of the worst in the league?
I think they are the worst in the league so far. So
our defense needs to be proven against
so let's take a look at it this way. To the first 3 games of the season, Memphis is currently 0-2. Salt Lake is currently 0-2, although it could be debatable that they deserve to be 1-1. And Atlanta's 0-2. So the first 3 games of the season, we're playing the only 3 teams who haven't won. So we're playing the only 3 teams who haven't won a game.
Yes.
Well, this is why I'm looking forward to that Apollo's game, is just because I think that's going to be our first real test, I think.
Yes.
San Antonio's quite good, and we play them March 3rd, so not this weekend, but the weekend after.
Yes, we'll be looking for Orlando.
They've been quite good, and we'll get to them in just a second.
Be looking for that to be the semifinals in the playoff. for the
Absolutely.
division. For sure.
If Memphis and Atlanta continue their form, there's no doubt.
Right. I mean, it may, and as much as I love Birmingham, I think that game may end up being in Orlando.
Well, it really just depends on the head-to-head, I suppose. So
Yeah, it does. And I'm a big fan of the head-to-head concept. Like, you separate the men and the boys usually from the head-to-head stuff. But with Orlando, I think again going back to the defensive question, that's going to be the big game.
that's going to be absolutely our biggest. Actually, well, like I said, San Antonio comes before that, and they can't be short-sighted. And like I said, we'll get to how
I
good
think
Logan Woodside has been this season.
well, if the Birmingham Iron holds Orlando to 20 points or under, I'm going to call the defense a success.
I like it. It's bold, but you know what? It's a fair point. Can we? And as Stu mentioned, kickers definitely still remain important because had the Salt Lake Stallions had any decent kicking on Saturday, they would have beaten us by 6-9 points.
Yep.
1 for 5.
Wait, what? Their kicker went 1 for 4 on kicks.
Okay, well, still. Okay, he missed it left, he missed it right, and he doinked it.
Well, it was
Straight back
deceiving.
there.
The first kick that he made was very decent. I was a little bit.
Like anything
Yeah,
that he didn't really miss any bad kicks. Like I think the shortest one he missed was like 48. Was it?
It was pretty.
It was pretty
Yeah,
far.
he was kicking deep, all day long, and kicking anything from 50 plus is, it's hard. I definitely get that. It's possible in this league. We saw it in week 1, and it's not like I think he completely shanked it maybe one time. He got close the other times. One of those times I thought it was legit good.
Crickets.
I'm sorry, my internet absolutely sucks balls.
Can we talk about this pass? Y'all know the one I'm talking about.
So I guess
Philip Nelson to Gavin Escobar.
Wait, what?
Well,
okay.
San
So
Diego.
you're talking about the San Diego Atlanta game. I guess we can move into that, even though that was Sunday night, and I kind of wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, well, sure. If you want to
go, no, let's go ahead because it's actually a really fun talking point. Yeah, he just flings the ball over his head, as if he's. I don't know what he's thinking there. Like, what logical thought do you think when you're going through your head as a quarterback, thinking, you know what, I got my back turned to the play. I should just fling the ball over my head. Despite not knowing who's behind it, it could get picked off and ran all the way back. But no, it ends up for a complete pass for 7 yards. Not even Patrick Mahomes would throw a pass that stupid.
Sorry about that, boys.
He actually went up onto his Twitter later in the day. He's like, looks like I got some competition.
Yes, I saw that, and deservingly so.
Wait, so Patty Mahomes called out the Fleet quarterback?
Yeah, for the overhead no-look pass, essentially, if you want to call it that.
Was that even official completion, though?
Yes, it was an official completion for 7 yards.
Because all the clips I saw, it looked like they didn't count it, and it was still 3rd and forever. Because he got back to at least the line of scrimmage. I remember seeing that.
I believe they called it a completion. I remember the commentators were freaking out.
Yeah, they called a completion on that.
They could not believe it.
I mean, either way, you guys are right. Stellar pass.
No, terrible pass. He got lucky it didn't get picked off.
Well, I thought it was pretty stellar.
Sure, it's stellar looking back on it, but in the moment, that's the dumbest thing I've seen all day.
Okay, look, sometimes you just gotta throw it up and hope for the best. That's why Hail Marys exist.
And I made the joke to you guys the other day on a group chat that said, when you go in and take a big test and you didn't study, but you turn out getting an A anyway. That's the closest, like Stu just said. You just gotta throw it up and hope for the best.
And you know what? I've had those tests before,
Yeah.
so I know the
It
feeling.
kind of reminded me of that that GIF, the Carlton GIF where he just like one hand heaves the ball uh at the basket and he's just looking at it like, yes, it's going
Yeah.
in, and it goes way wide right. That's kind of what it reminded me of, except it's the scenario where it actually goes in. In other news in that game, we had another 100-yard rusher. Jaquan Gardner ended up with 104 on the day,
Okay, so that's two because I know Zach Stacy did it for Memphis and was
and
probably the.
he also had 2 touchdowns along the way.
So he was their only offense that game, but
Well, they put up,
we're not talking about that. We're talking about the
well
fleet. I
they
got
put
us off
up
track.
they put up 24 points, including 15 in the fourth, and pretty
Yep.
much secured their victory.
Wait, can we talk about for a second? I know Cy is a big Luis Perez fan, and Stewart, you said that Matt Sims sucks. But can we talk about the fact that Matt Sims has more passing touchdowns than Luis Perez does?
Receivers,
That's because
receivers.
Perez doesn't have anything. Well, it's not just receivers. I don't think Perez is a very good passer in the red zone, judging by what I saw the first week.
Well,
Granted,
play calling's also run a lot of rushes in the red zone as well. So it's not entirely on
Well, I
Perez,
think
but it's partially on Perez too.
he throws a lot of passes in the game too. Is the thing.
Yeah, but once they get down into the nitty gritty, when they're down to the tape line, they're just running the ball every play. There's only so much you can do pass wise when you're not able to pass the ball. Hello?
yes.
Yeah.
Did we all cut out?
No, I just didn't. I mean,
Yeah. No, we're all here. I was looking over at stat sheets, but
yeah. I
But
don't have an objection to what you said.
there's only so much you can do pass wise when you're not able to pass the ball. So, it could be partially on Luis Perez, it's partially on the receivers, it's partially on play calling, but
there's blame to go all around.
there's a lot of things to blame, and I'm always of the mindset you can't blame it all on one person in a team sport. So
I can agree with that.
Yeah, same here.
but I guess we can transition into the other game on I want to transition to the two best games of the weekend, and starting with Saturday night's game between Arizona and Memphis. And is Arizona as good as we're giving them credit for?
Well, looking at Walford's stat line, he had 2 touchdowns, which isn't bad, but he also had 2 interceptions. If I'm not mistaken, I think he at least had an interception or 2 last week.
Let's look at it this way. We're looking at a Memphis team that couldn't put up any points against Birmingham in week 1. Come week 2, they're almost able to beat who is pretty much considered the second, third best team in the league. So,
but problem is that Christian Hackenberg still sucks.
Yeah, despite his incompetence, though, they only lost by 2 points.
Well, I mean, they got so close because
it took a 14-point. It took a 14-point effort in the fourth quarter for Arizona to win the game. And a lot of that was due to bad play calling on the final drive, because Hackenberg just kept dumping the ball up 2 to 3 yards, and play getting pushed back farther and farther.
I guess we can blame him partially on their defense, but it's like, as I said, Zach Stacy had a great game. Over 100 yards, as you said, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
From what I understand, he pretty much had to carry that team because Hackenberg was so ineffective. And I remember trying to watch the final drive, like Memphis' last chance. I look up, I look back down, all of a sudden the game's over. I'm like, that was fast.
Yeah, because play calling was absolutely terrible. And you can say what you want about Hackenberg's pass selection on those last drives, but it's also on the receiver's job to get open. It's also on the play callers to give him a good play to run. I
Call
get
me
he.
biased, but it's time for Zach Mettenberger or Brandon Silvers to come in and take
Yeah,
over.
you know what? I wouldn't be mad with Brandon Silvers starting. You know, it's something that Memphis Express faithful have been clamoring for since last week. You know, they're like they haven't even played Mettenberger at all this season.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, how do you go from starting in the NFL to not being able to even
To
start
being
over a
pretty
brand
much
new guy?
third string to Christian Hackenberg and
A guy from Troy
quarterback who
University.
a quarterback who hasn't played a single down in the NFL. So
Yes, that's wild to me.
You know, I got my own agenda on Silvers. I'm still very salty about that South Alabama loss at home. But
Well, the story is that he was hungover, but I don't have proof.
well, I mean, I think I want him to get a legit shot just because, my dad always pointed this out. Silvers has the size of an NFL quarterback. He
Yes, he
does.
does.
right, yes he does.
He
I
has
mean,
a
he
good
doesn't have a bad
style.
arm.
And I think that's probably the biggest reason why they're running him second string anyway. Is just because he's got that size. He impressed a lot in training camp, enough for them to draft him in the quarterback draft. So
He's
I
got
mean,
in my opinion, he's got
they
good
obviously
arm and he can run decently.
they obviously have a lot of
He's
faith in him too. I mean,
he's like a combo of what I think Sawyer Smith and Caleb Barker, are individually. I think Barker's a great runner who doesn't have a good deep ball. I think Sawyer has a good deep ball but isn't the best runner. At
Yeah,
least
I can stand behind.
overall,
Silver's
Sawyer has a better arm than Caleb, but
yes, but
yeah.
I mean, and Silver's is still kind of slow. Keeping that in mind.
Yeah, but he could still run though,
Yes, I mean, if needed, yes.
but like I mentioned, Zach Stacy last week.
Yeah, from
As being
Vandy, right?
yes, Vanderbilt University. And I mentioned him being one of the standouts for a very lackluster Memphis team in week 1. And he gone and proven me right by being the first 100-yard rusher
Well,
in league history.
I wouldn't say. I think Stacy, the running game in general, was the best part of Memphis's offense week 1, and Stacy got his number called a few times. I think he played decently. He was
He
their best
averaged
offense that day. He's their best offense. This day, averaged about
he,
5 yards a carry.
he averaged over 5 yards a carry, had a touchdown. Christian Hackenberg also had the rushing touchdown, so Zach only
Yeah,
had one on the day.
Yeah,
So
I said he had 2 earlier. That's my mistake. I'm looking at the stats now, which I have a rant about AAF stats, but we'll save that for after games are over.
not the most fun thing to look through, but they're there, so Yeah, I mean, I don't think Memphis is as bad as we're giving them credit for, too. Obviously, they had a big lead headed into the fourth quarter that they inevitably blew by letting up 2 touchdowns, but I mean, they went into halftime up 12-0 against again, who's one of the most explosive offenses in the league, probably second to only Orlando.
At least in week 1, the hot shots were the most explosive.
Absolutely. I would agree with that, but I mean, does that say more about Birmingham or more about Arizona?
A little bit about both.
I think
shows I guess Birmingham's defense and how good it can be.
they put up more offensively though. It's not even just a defensive effort. They put up more offensive against Memphis than Arizona did.
Yeah, it's true. I honestly I don't know. This is only the second week, mind you.
Right. It's a little too
everything's
soon to get assumptions, right? But
well, I've pretty much been assuming a lot of stuff this whole podcast. So I mean,
it's a little too soon to form assumptions about how certain teams are. But I think
I'm still gonna tell my assumptions about Trent Richardson later. I got some things to say about him.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, now we'll wait till after we finish covering all the games.
I mean, okay. Well, and
Want to go ahead and
My
move on to the next game, or do we
my personal game of the
still have
week,
points about
which
Memphis?
I actually did watch the entire way through. Orlando versus San Antonio, and both of these teams are just absolutely stellar.
This
There,
was
there's not a bad thing you could say about either team's performance.
this was being called the best game in the AAF so far, and I didn't get a chance to watch it, but from highlights I've seen and from what I've read about it, I would agree. The Apollos once again showed up with a great offense.
But it was equally matched by how good San Antonio was.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it was
most definitely.
like it was 18-17 heading into
And
halftime, and I
it
think
finished a one possession game.
it's the first half ended the same way the second half did, though, and
Extremely competitive.
I'll elaborate on that. So, end of the first quarter comes around, San Antonio's up 12, and then they end up allowing 17 while only being able to put up 6 points. So it's 18-17 in what was a two possession game at the end of one quarter. And I think that's something to really take note in with Orlando, is that not only are they really strong offensively, they're explosive offensively. They will get you and continue to put points on you. Like
I mean,
it was,
Gilbert. You
yeah.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Garrett Gilbert.
I mean, just look at this. 393 yards, almost at 400, averaged 14 yards a pass, and he did this on 19 completions and didn't even throw the ball 30 times.
2
That's
touchdowns, no interceptions.
then your main guy, Charles Johnson, so far has the record for most receiving yards in the game, 192 yards and a
And
touchdown. And it was a
Charles,
big play touchdown too.
right? And Charles Johnson, I mentioned probably 2 weeks ago about Luis Perez's story, when we were doing our first season preview for the AAF. Charles Johnson is another one of these great stories out of the league. So, like you mentioned, 192 yards, had a really good touchdown. So he originally came out of Eastern Kentucky and was kicked out because his roommate at the time stole a laptop and he refused to give the police any answers. So he got kicked out for collusion, apparently. Ended up going the JUCO route, and while he was in JUCO, his dad got diagnosed with scleroderma, which, if you don't know, it's like when your connective tissue starts like thickening and hardening, and it pretty much ends up killing you at some point. His dad was given 6 months to live, and he promised his dad from then that he would live to see his son get drafted into the NFL. And it ended up changing his life for the better. He tried to go D1 again, but he only had 1 year of eligibility, and he wanted to play for 2 more years to get his name out there. Ended up going to Grand Valley State, and was easily the best receiver on that Grand Valley State team. And while he didn't get invited to the combine, he really impressed at the pro day and got drafted in the 7th round by the Green Bay Packers alongside his dad. So he's got a really good spot. He's got a really good story, and got a lot of heart in the game. And he's one of those guys that I'm really rooting for to get back into the league.
Well, if he keeps having performances like this, I say, why the heck not?
Absolutely. 7 receptions and for 192 yards. I mean, you're pretty much averaging over 27 yards a play at that point. And we've already seen how good Garrett Gilbert can do on minimal numbers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and the thing was, like I said, Johnson's touchdown reception was a huge play. Probably one of the biggest, passing plays for a touchdown in the league so far. I mean, 2 weeks in, it's not saying much. But it was great throw, great catch, and he just had his corner beat and just marched right in the end zone.
But that's not even to discredit how good the San Antonio offense was. Logan Woodside put up 223 yards of his own, which is nothing to scoff at. Um, Ended up with one touchdown, one interception, but he was one of those guys who got him from 20 to 20, and their rushing attack really did a good portion of their work too.
Kenneth Farrow had about, I think it says here,
74 yards, had their one touchdown, pretty much 6 yards a carry. Did quite.
he had a good day, at least in terms of AAF running backs.
Oh
Not to
yeah,
mention, I love his name. I want to bring up the Commanders' defense had 4 sacks in this game.
and still let up 400 passing yards.
Well, that's true. So I guess better run defense than pass defense? Well, let's see.
I mean, if you're getting 4 sacks, your pass defense is pretty good. Your corners are just
Ernest
getting
Johnson
burned.
had 57 rush yards, so
I mean, it's one thing. Their pass defense obviously is good. And they're rushing and getting 4 sacks in this game against one of the best offenses, against probably the best offense in the league at this point. So it's not to say that their corners are probably just getting burned, especially with how much output Charles Johnson was getting.
yeah, I think the Commanders got some things to work on. I can definitely see them being a playoff contender. Come the final cut. What division are they in? Are they in?
They're in the West.
Okay, because we're in the East, right?
Well, they're in the West Conference, but
we're in the East with
yeah,
we're with Orlando.
With Orlando and the Scrubs.
Orlando, Atlanta,
And the
and
Scrubs. Orlando and the Scrubs.
Orlando and the Scrubs.
It's Orlando, Birmingham, Memphis, and Atlanta. So yeah, it's
Okay,
just
so yeah,
it's us two and Scrubs. As I mentioned, the West is actually fairly competitive at the moment. Arizona is 2-0, but San Diego and San Antonio are both 1-1. So San Antonio has the head-to-head victory.
And Salt Lake's 0-2.
Like I said, they probably shouldn't be 0-2.
Yeah, at least Salt Lake was somewhat competitive in
That was
both
probably
those games.
it was. They couldn't match offensively, and special teams really blew it for them this week against Birmingham. And on the topic of Birmingham, you said you wanted to talk about Richardson.
Have we talked about all the games yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about Richardson because I read an article. It was on NFL.com saying Richardson stars in AAF Week 2. And this is it also brought up other big performers. It brought up Charles Johnson performance, brought up Zach Stacy being the first 100-yard rusher. I have a legit problem with people saying that Richardson is all of a sudden this superstar. And I'm legit happy he's back playing football, that his name's out there, he's still being recognized.
Yeah, but that's just it though. I mean, he is pretty much the most recognizable, not only on our team, but probably in the whole league itself. So the reason why he's getting so much coverage is literally just because he's the biggest name in the league.
And he has all 3 of our touchdowns. He has pretty much all of our offensive well, I shouldn't say all offensive production, but he has all of our touchdowns. He's a great, like I said, a great goal line running back. But he's averaging 2.4 yards per carry. He doesn't even have 100 rushing yards yet. But people are still praising him, saying that, he's going to be, this star. I still think Trent Richardson kind of sucks. I mean,
I agree. Stu, I was reading that on Twitter also. I saw where he got some player of the week for some organization I'd never heard of. It wasn't the AAF. It was some, I hate to say this, but some crappy podcast of probably some crappy college kid in some crappy college town. Anyway,
That's literally what
Hey.
we do on a weekly basis.
And
No,
I
I was
I
about to
wouldn't
say it too. I was
I
like,
wouldn't discredit them that much.
well,
'Cause
you guys know I was being sarcastic, but anyway,
yeah, we know,
he
but
really
keep going.
he really did get Player of the Week for somebody, and I read that and I said, "You've got to be kidding me!
no.
There is
He's
no
not.
Now,
way." I mean,
Jamar Summers, who
I they were
who was
crazy.
the person who forced the now Jamar Summers, who was able to force the fumble against Salt Lake this week are pretty much the
Yeah,
game
he got
changing
defensive player of the
touchdown.
week, didn't he?
No, he got special teams player of the week. So
Oh yeah. My bad.
And I bring in controversy, but if you follow Trent Richardson on any social media platform, you'll see that he gets on there probably not any more than 10 minutes after the game. "Ooh, I just had a great performance, blah, 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 blah. Y'all should have been there, blah, 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 blah." And he really didn't even do that good.
I mean,
Oh,
self-confidence, bro, takes you a long way.
I mean, but this has been 2 straight weeks he's done that, and his performance has not been where I wanted it to be.
That's my biggest problem, man.
To be fair, the rushing game in general has not been where I want it to be. So,
Well, I mean, the rushing game was a lot better this week in the league as a whole.
for sure, we had
And
2 rushers with 100 yards.
And Richardson did come through when we needed him to. But I don't like this idea of him being like one of like the big time players in the league because he's not.
It's one thing I think is holding back the Birmingham Iron as well.
We give him the ball way too much. Like I said,
you're not wrong.
More formations where you have a tight end or 2 tight ends set. Let Luis throw to his tight ends because they will produce results.
So you're saying to unleash.
Connor Davis had one of the first. I think he had the first reception in Iron history, and he hurdled a man and got the first down. You know, these guys have
exactly. You know, like Trent Richardson in both of his games, he's averaging like 2.5 yards a carry.
Not even that, 2.4.
It's essentially close enough. But
no. I wasn't saying that to be a smart aleck. I was saying like, you know, he's not even doing that. He's not even doing 2.5.
Fair enough. Like he's not even doing 2.5. Really holding back our. Lewis is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I don't think anybody can really disagree with that. You know, his numbers really aren't there, but that's simply because we're giving Trent Richardson the ball 20 times a game, and it's not working.
Well, the Orlando one's pretty good.
Nah, I would say Gilbert right now is the best.
I said one of the best, not the best. I would agree with you and say Gilbert's the best quarterback in the league. I don't.
That's true. I know you said one of the best, but I love Garrett Gilbert. Okay, I love his name. I love what he's doing. I love that Apollo's offense. I love the Iron, to death, but. I do like the Apollos. I love what Spurrier's doing.
I find it funny. You claim Philly, and yet your favorite name in the league is Garrett Gilbert, who has probably the most southern name around. It's beautiful. Garrett's
born
insanely
in the
good,
South, man. So Philly was just a 5-year thing.
Garrett Gilbert, man. Like I said, Lewis is easily, our biggest source of offense, and I don't know why we haven't really been utilizing it as much as we should be. This is a guy who should be having 250 yards a game passing the ball. I get, we can't totally neuter our rushing offense, sorry. But, there's no reason why Trent Richardson should be getting 20 carries a game.
I agree.
I mean, if he can get better, if he can, break out on those, on those big runs, if he can show he still has that great ability, then I have no problem with handing him off the ball. But you know what? I honestly want him to be more like a Darren Sproles type and be more of a receiving running back. That's where Darren Sproles...
I mean, he's not really built like Darren Sproles, though.
Well, no. Well, Sproles is not even built like a football
player. Like a running back that's acts as like a screen running tight end.
But as I said, I think I said this earlier, Richardson is good in the open field. I can see what he can do when he's just trying to shake off 1 or 2 guys, not trying to get through a whole defensive line. I think he could be a solid I think he could be solid receiving wise. I see that in him. Just because handing him off the ball, it ain't it. It's not working.
Like I said, you just run him in the halfback role, but have him play like a tight end.
And you guys already know my feelings on tight end. That would be amazing.
So you're saying you like tight ends?
I love tight ends. I was a tight end for maybe 5 minutes.
You only had a tight end for 5 minutes?
Well, no, I was trying out for it, and the guy throwing the footballs overthrew me by a mile. But the coach just said, "All right, you get out." So I was doomed to play lineman for all those days.
Oh man!
Sorry, I know what your joke was getting at, but I wanted to continue with my point.
Yes, the joke.
Those Penn State jokes are old now.
Anyway, we can look.
Jokes have a time and a place, and this ain't it, Chief.
Don't tell me what to do, Chief.
You're the one that uses this. That ain't it, Chief. So
no, Chief.
It sucks on the shoes on the foot, buddy.
Anyway, we can do a quick preview into. We can do a quick prediction into week 3 since we kind of have a general idea of what each team is. So we can
lay it on me.
Arizona plays Salt Lake again, but this time they're playing Salt Lake at home, who will be playing their first home game of the season.
I say it's a bit closer. If the home crowd shows up, I think it might be a bit closer, but I still think Arizona wins that game, just with how well their offense has been playing.
I mean, how rough is it for Salt Lake to have to not only play, like, I was going to say, they're playing Arizona twice early, but then you look next week, they're playing Orlando. So they got a rough start to the season, and it's not going to be a good look for them to be 0-4.
I'm going to say, man, that was tough. I'm going to say Arizona by 8.
That's okay.
It'll be closer.
Yeah.
If a home crowd shows up, but Arizona still wins that.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of feel bad for Salt Lake in this scenario, though, because, they really don't deserve to be 0-2 right now, and they really don't deserve to be 0-3. But so there is a possibility they do win, but I'm also going to say Arizona. Memphis travels to Orlando this week.
Orlando wins.
I think it's going to be a closer game than people realize.
If they play somebody else, it's not Hackenberg. They have talent on that team. I just don't think Hackenberg's their answer a quarterback.
So they play Hackenberg.
We can all agree on that.
They lose. They play anyone else. They lose.
I want to.
Actually, you know what?
I want to hear Wetzel's point on this. I want to hear it.
I think we've said this podcast. They've got the tools. I think somebody just said that a moment ago. I think if Hackenberg even plays a half, and if he comes out poor in the first quarter or first half, and he doesn't do well,
bench.
If Memphis plans to put in a Brandon Silvers or a Zach Mettenberger, if they come in and they're hot, be looking for a possible upset on this one. But if Hackenberg plays consistently like he has been and plays the entire game, it's going to be Orlando by 14 points.
I think it's also Stacy in that running game plays well. They need to run more plays from the Wildcat because they were actually moving the ball on us when they were using the Wildcat. From what I noticed.
I was gonna say about the last game that Salt Lake is a good upset pick, but Memphis is also a really good one because they especially impressed me this week. Had they had a half decent quarterback starting for them, they probably would have beat Arizona. So I'm also looking out for them. They play Hackenberg, they lose. They don't. If they try to mix it up at some point, there's a good possibility they don't start Hackenberg. I'm also going to agree with you. There's a good chance they could win.
And I'll say this: I think Memphis doesn't have a bad playbook. Like I said, they've incorporated the Wildcat a little bit against us, and they've ran that one trick play where Hackenberg actually threw a touchdown. Got called back due to penalties, but it's obvious that they have a few tricks up their sleeve. I kind of want to see him bust out some of those plays next week.
Moving on, Birmingham plays their first road game on Sunday against Atlanta.
I say, I say defense shows up and goes up against a crappy Atlanta offense. I say we win, but I'm not going to tell you by how much because I'm not sure if this offense is going to show up. They didn't really show up this week against Salt Lake.
I mean,
I think we'll win. We can win a game off of almost pure defense alone because that's kind of how this game against Salt Lake City went. But I don't know if receivers don't drop passes, if we move the ball better, I think we can just blow these guys straight up out the water.
like a la Memphis.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be. I think we win regardless, but I can't really tell you how much we win.
I want us to lessen the diversity in the offensive game. I want them to try to throw more passes, not give as many rushes to Trent Richardson. I get, that's going to make a lot of the faithful angry because, Trent Richardson is the biggest name on the team. However, it's really holding us. It's really holding us back at the same time. That's not my point, though. I'm saying it's holding us back.
Yeah.
But I say we win regardless. I don't see a scenario with Atlanta winning unless we completely crap the bed.
This isn't us trying to be biased.
We
this is just us dissing Atlanta because Atlanta sucks.
Okay,
they're probably the worst team in the league at this point.
Agreed.
Probably so. I think it's safe to say that Atlanta's defense is probably better than its offense. Y'all can make it.
And that's not really saying much.
No, it's not. But with that being said, and Birmingham's poor performance on offense this past week, Birmingham's going to win it. I'm just trying to figure out because it is in Atlanta.
Right,
I'm just kind of figure out by how much is Birmingham going to win it. I mean,
that's the same problem I got, dude.
I can't say that for sure.
Yeah, it really just depends on what we're running offensively. If we're giving Richardson the amount of carries we have been, the number's lower than what I would like to say. If we try to unleash Perez a little bit more, and receivers, start actually making plays, that number goes way up.
Well, I know this isn't what you want to hear, and you probably disagree with me, but I still think it's almost too early in the season to make such a claim on some of these things.
It really is. We're not really going to have a solid thesis on what teams are good, what teams are bad until we reach week 6, 7, somewhere around the middle of the season when we see how teams play out. But at the current time, Atlanta's not playing on good form. I get they'll be playing at home, but
Matt Sims sucks.
Well, Matt Sims has not impressed so far.
Yeah,
their rushing game is not. Their rushing game is not impressed so far. Akram Wadley has been their only good player for them. And
what about Younghoe Koo? What? Let's say Sims gets him down the field because we know he's starting to become Mr. Automatic. If I'm not mistaken, he's got the best kicker rating in the in the AAF.
But that's because, you look at it this way, 6 points is greater than 3, and I get, those add up, but you have to drive down the field twice to put up the same number that you would for a regular touchdown.
Yes.
So,
Atlanta, this is one thing I will say for sure, this is not going to be a shutout. Atlanta will score points, even though they're not greatest.
I don't think so. I think week 1 was an anomaly because Memphis is a lot better than the 26-0 drubbing says about them, especially looking at their performance this week against Arizona. I just really don't see a scenario where we come out of Atlanta not being 3-0.
Possible. I think it's possible we come out 2-1. But I don't think it's very likely.
Like I said, I'm not gonna say 100%, but I'm fairly certain.
Look, if I had to if I had to go to Vegas and bet on a game, I would bet on us to win this game.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't know whether to take the over or under yet, but you know, that is what that is. Anyway, San Antonio also plays a rematch. San Diego this time at
Uh,
SDCCU Stadium in San Diego.
I think San Antonio is overall a more rounded team, offense and defense. I
That's
I
but
I think they win that game. I think it's still close.
I mean, the
I'm
last game was close between the two. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it ended up 15 to
I don't
12.
think
We all remember the hit.
Yeah, I don't think the Fleet has it offensively quite yet. And I think the Commanders have a better offense. I think they're a
I mean,
more
to
rounded
be
team.
fair though, you got to look that they're coming off a big win at home. And they're going right back in doing the exact same thing this time against a team they've already played before. Uh and it's hard to beat teams twice in one season. So I don't. I mean, I'm giving San Diego. I'm giving San Diego the win here, actually. So I feel
I'm
pretty
going to give
confident.
San Antonio by 1 possession.
Like I
I,
said, it's hard to beat teams twice. So
it came down to defense last time. I think it'll still come down to defense this time. Though I do want to see I want to see Gardner have another good game. If he has another great game like he did this last week, I think he puts the Fleet in a good position. But in my opinion, I think San Antonio is going to win this one.
does anyone know the status of Mike Bercovici? Was like he was you all saw the clip where he got absolutely walloped in week 1 against San Antonio.
I figured he just got benched because he didn't have that great a game.
That's probably what it was. I thought he might have gotten hurt or something in that game at some point. It was a little weird not seeing him on the sheet. See, look, take a look, Memphis. Right, San Diego swaps quarterbacks and they win a game.
And he makes no look passes. So I mean,
Yeah, he's flinging balls over his head and somehow it's getting caught. He's basically Patrick Mahomes.
oh, actually, didn't that one guy from San Antonio have that awesome one-handed catch on the deep ball? I know I saw that
Oh
somewhere.
yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Actually, let me take a look at San Antonio's stats again. I got them pulled up right here. Where the poop are they?
Which side is either second or third so far in passing yards? He's second with 478.
I
As
think
for rushing, Kenneth Faroe is second in the league at the moment. Zach Stacy actually is tied for first.
And personally, I think next to the Iron, I think the Commanders probably have one of the better defenses.
Oh yeah, Sean Washington and Winston Craig combined for 5.5 sacks.
Yeah, there you go.
And yeah, their defense is pretty stout, but
And this is a team that was competitive against who, at least I think, is probably the best team in the league right now, the Apollos.
but
So
Jaquan Gardner is just coming off the largest game in AAF history at the moment. So if he can continue that good momentum, I don't see why San Diego doesn't have a fighting chance.
I think they have a fighting chance, but I just legit think the Commanders are the better team right now.
This will be my one upset pick this week is San Diego winning.
I can see that. I think it'll be a good game to watch regardless.
Yeah, for sure. I won't be able to watch it sadly.
What time's it on?
It's on at 7 Sunday, so
I might actually get to watch that after I work the basketball game.
But the great thing is that now if you go AAF website, after the games they leave a summary and all the games are on their entirety. So
They
you
can
can go
do
back.
that, but they can't do stats.
I mean, yeah, they've redesigned their website like 5 times already.
Yeah, after we
That's
finish
where
our
all the money's going. They keep redesigning their website.
Well, that is a crappy allocation of money because it's done nothing.
Hey, all the games are there.
Well, I
You
have a
can.
rant about the AAF and how they've handled certain things, but we can save that for after we finish our predictions. What game's next?
That's all of them. So go
Oh,
ahead,
really?
rant.
Oh, sorry, my mind is in space today. But
Dang,
my
dude, that's like way out there.
my biggest problem with the AAF is that people have said it is hard to find stats. And I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but want to know where I'm reading my stats from? This website called Chat Sports. You know what? Good for them. Good for them for putting up the stats.
You could just go to
I
AAF's official website.
no. But the way AAF's doing it is that they show you the total stats from the first 2 weeks, not
They
individually.
they have play-by-plays of every single game.
Well, then you know what? I can't find it. When I search for it, I can't find it. When I see stats, it should be, oh, week 2 stats right here. Very first thing you see.
Yeah, I don't get why they're not
You
getting
know?
tacked on as much. Like here, I'll give you an example. So if you click on their schedule, right, and you go to summary for Salt Lake at Birmingham, right, you get the full game, and then you have every single play summarized from start to finish, as long with individual stats as well. Here, just a brief example. So
But
they're
even
doing.
still,
I
like
think that I get it. It's not the most convenient thing.
yeah, and that's the big thing. These should be stats that should be available like, at a snap like that.
So
Or at least
that
available
big
relatively close after
team,
the game, but it's taken them a while to get anything out up there once the games are over.
I can't really.
Wetzel, do you have something you want to say?
yeah, I was just saying that I believe the press members and media members probably have that at the end of each quarter and at the conclusion of the game.
Oh
I'm
yeah, I've seen the stat sheets before. That's where I got my stats for Memphis versus Birmingham last week. Was through one of the stat sheets.
But it's like this is information that needs to be readily available quickly so that
That's what they're trying to do now. Again, it's not a perfect system at the moment. It's one of those things that takes time.
I mean, I get that, but it's just
It makes it a little bit harder for us, but
I just
you know,
feel that it's not. I don't think it's very professional, for people to have to go to a third party website
well,
to get their stats
you can go
and
first party. I just
not have the stats for like I know now. Honestly, I didn't know AAF had the play by play stats. That's
yeah,
on me.
they've had them since week one.
I looked earlier. But I'm just saying like. I feel you need to have them out a lot quicker. Because
They
like,
update them with the game though.
are you sure? Because I swear I'm hearing so many reports that people are not able to find these stats when they need them.
I've heard the same report on the Birmingham Iron fan group on Facebook.
Yeah, I yeah, they have everything after and post, and it's one thing. It makes, like I said, it makes media a little bit harder to come across. You want to talk about certain stats during games and whatnot, and you only have like graphics to go off of, and unless you're a member in the actual game, I get it's not the best look at the league, but you also got to remember that they're pretty much doing this all by themselves. They don't really have the ESPN affiliation because you can't just go to ESPN. They don't have an AAF section on their website. You can't really go to you can't hardly go to CBS Sports. They have a section for it, but they don't really update it. It's
All
kind
right,
of
then
lackluster.
I have a problem with CBS Sports not
It's
not
obviously
being
not
up to
on
date with that crap.
It's obviously not on NFL Network because
It's the NFL
NFL
network.
exactly, and they're pretty much having to do everything by themselves at this point because coverage for minor league sports, it's pretty much for the most part first party. So it's partially to blame on them, but also it's just how the minor league system kind of works. It's the same way for like AAA and AA baseball, you know.
I guess that's true, but just with all of this major commercial airtime, all this attention AAF's getting, I just
You
feel
gotta
that
remember they were down 250. So
that is
maybe with
true.
that extra money, they'll
Eh,
actually start updating us stat wise.
Hey, I'm down.
Absolutely. I'd love to live tweet during games, but
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's my piece on AAF. I appreciate you bringing up counterpoints though, because there was stuff I legitimately did not know.
yeah. One thing I really like is how they have all of their broadcasting rights somewhat in their deals, that they are able to put each of the games on their website for free on demand without having to actually pay for games. So it's really nice and convenient to just have it there if you ever need to go back and look at something.
So I guess we're done with AAF for right now. I
I
don't know
think
the NBA.
we've exhausted the
Yeah,
for-
I don't know. NBA All Star Game happened. I didn't get a chance to watch it, unfortunately.
it was a game.
I'm kind of fascinated the way they did it. Have LeBron and Giannis be team captains, so it's not a regular East and West. But they did this thing with the Pro Bowl a few years ago, and I know that wasn't that popular.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Team Jerry Rice.
Yeah, I
But
was not. I think we should go back to AFC, NFC.
and
Yeah,
that's what they've
I
done.
mean that's what
I
they've done.
I think this format works better for the NBA, just because
Yeah.
I think the NBA is definitely more driven by its players and the personality of them.
Well, basketball in itself is, it's a team sport, but it can really be heavily influenced by one or two players on your team.
Yes.
I mean, look
Look,
at the
look at the Cavaliers.
Rockets with James Harden. Look at OKC with Paul George and Russell Westbrook. I mean, yeah, it's a team effort, but when you got guys putting up 40 to 50 points, they're pretty much doing half your work for you. So
I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
I
it
yeah,
happened.
the NBA is definitely more star driven. This format does, it's a way for the league to have a little bit of fun, show off player personalities and whatnot.
Because that's what All Star Weekend's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun.
Right.
That's why they have the dunk contest and the celebrity games and all these other events. Because players are supposed to have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of dunk contest, I don't even know who was in it. I didn't even know who won it.
Oh, there was one really good dunk.
Didn't somebody do a tribute to Vince Carter?
N-
With one of the dunks?
Sort of. So you know how
Did they do the
Dwight.
elbow hang? I love the freaking elbow
Okay,
hang.
so I'll explain it. So, dude, basically, the beef between Dwight Howard and Shaquille O'Neal over the whole Superman thing, right?
Oh my god, that's so petty.
So the dude who's doing the dunk, his jersey split and has a Superman logo underneath it. He flashes it to the camera for a brief second, and then dunks over Shaq, does the elbow hang in the goal, and as he's hanging, opens up his shirt.
He did what with the shirt?
He opens up his jersey and reveals the Superman logo.
Oh, I like that.
So
Wow.
he hung there for a good 5 seconds. It was pretty dope.
Well, I mean, I just feel that when VC when he did the elbow hang, that was iconic, especially because
Yeah,
that was the
that was
first.
that was the most fun dunk I've seen in years, though.
And that was the first dunk contest after, because the '99 season was the lockout season, if I'm not mistaken. So that was the first dunk contest in about 2 years.
I know Joe Harris won the 3-point contest.
Yeah, he's from the Nets. Good for him.
Although everybody would have been smoked by Larry Bird in their prime.
I don't think any major 3-ball guys were actually in the contest.
No, Larry. I remember those first that they did that contest. Larry Bird literally looks all of them dead in their eyes and says, "I'm going to beat you."
Because he's
And
Larry
he did it.
Bird, one of the best 3-ball shooters
One of the best
ever.
trash talkers ever, for real.
But he could back it up.
Exactly.
He's Larry Legend for a reason, baby.
Yep, terrorizing the Sixers.
And the Lakers to an extent.
Not the Grizzlies. He wasn't. We were a little bit after him.
You guys didn't even exist.
Yeah.
You weren't even a twinkle in old Larry's eye.
Yeah, because he didn't play. I mean, we beat up on Indiana a good bit, so.
Everyone beat up on Indiana at one point or another.
Yeah.
But then they got Reggie and things were good.
Yeah, and then they choked.
Yeah, but the Knicks also choked when they got there. So
Right.
the
Knicks,
actually, what
the
am I
Knicks,
saying? They didn't even
the Knicks and
make the
choking go
finals.
hand in hand, dude.
Carmelo and
Anyway, baseball. Manny Machado signed a 10-year, $300 million contract
Manny the Moocher
for the San Diego Padres.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I actually really love this because y'all know I'm the small market champion. So seeing a guy as good as Machado taking his talents to a small market bro
South Beach.
in no. Actually, the Marlins are small market, so they're broskies too. We're Florida bros. Go raise up, baby. But to see him take his
Rebuilding
talents
since
to go
2003.
to see him take his talents to a small market team like San Diego, it shows that baseball has a little bit of hope.
I mean, you know what? Good for the Padres.
Yeah,
good
very.
signing. You gotta get players around them. You have a few guys already. They re-signed Ian Kinsler for whatever that's worth. He's 38 years old.
I think I made the joke.
Will Myers, Eric Hosmer. They don't have a bad lineup coming back.
Yeah, they don't really have a bad lineup. I think
they need a few more powerful pieces, I would say.
And that comes with not having money. So they just spent $300 million.
Yeah, he made A-Rod money. And originally
he made A-Rod money and more.
He made A-Rod money plus the salary of a small-time catcher. And that's good money.
I think I made the joke earlier of him. Like I said, congratulations on your 2 playoff appearances in the next 10 years, just because it's San Diego, and they play in a division with the Giants and the Dodgers, and the Rockies for that matter, and the Diamondbacks. So they're pretty much 5 out of 5. Although the Giants are kind of bad at the moment, so maybe 4. So there's some stiff competition in the NL West, but I think Machado is a good piece that's really going to help. And, I'm sure the San Diego fans are happy to, make a few Dodgers fans mad with that signing. So,
I'm just surprised he didn't go ring chasing again. That's what I thought he would do. I honestly thought he'd go to the Yankees. He'd get $250 million for 8 years, which is around what he wanted originally, according to what I read.
So,
and instead he gets $300 million, which is around what Harper wanted.
Which is pretty much what Bryce Harper wanted. 10 years.
He got the deal that Harper wanted.
He got the deal Harper wanted in San Diego. Speaking of Bryce Harper, is he gonna sign for a team? Like, spring training's in 2 days.
He said he was unsure about signing with the Phillies today, shortly after the Machado announcement went live.
He then proudly stated, "Hey, I'm taking my talents to St. Petersburg." And yeah, he says he's gonna go sign with the Tampa Bay Rays.
No, he didn't.
No, you're right, because we can't have fun in Tampa. Sorry. Jeez, it's already rough enough that
that's what you get when you try to be an expansion franchise.
How about you quit? How about you quit? Okay. What do you think? The Flyers are a dang expansion franchise.
I meant recent expansion franchise. But then again, the Marlins got off to a fast start. Diamondbacks got off to a fast start. So
yeah, and then we just got pooped on because we play in a division with Boston and New York. That's not really our fault. I would gladly take the place of the Marlins and go play in the NL East. Shoot, we would have finished probably first in the NL East had we
probably would have.
Yeah, like
because the Phillies imploded after being
maybe
in first for a
maybe
few weeks.
second behind Atlanta, but I mean, we would easily carry through the NL East. I'm not worried about that at all. We just have to play in a division with 200 win teams. It's hard. You can't really win a wild card spot playing against teams like that.
But anyway,
So it's really killed us, and not only us. Baltimore struggled. Toronto has struggled as well. So it's just the New York Boston cycle. You can't really play in the AL East. Just make it a 2-horse race every year. I mean,
anyway,
it's hard.
I want to get back on topic. With Machado pretty much getting the deal that Harper wanted, is Harper going to ask for more?
I highly doubt it. I think at this point, you got to just get what's available at this point. I mean, like I said, spring training is 2 days away. For spring training games to start, like people have already been reporting in and everything.
Like it took forever for Machado to get his deal, and he wanted originally less than what Harper wanted.
Exactly my point.
Yeah, so you're right. If Harper wants to sign, he's got to put up with he has to take what he can get.
I mean, is it really that big of a 10-year, 10 years, 300 million? Like, you're still making 22.
And you know what?
If you want to make it even sweeter, you come down to Florida. There's no income tax, so I'm just saying Tampa's always.
You could come to Philly, where they're already building themselves to potential playoff contenders with the all-star talent we've signed this offseason.
Income tax,
only good pitcher.
Income tax. We got nice beaches. We got a Rays tank in the outfield.
We have an amazing sports culture with people who will actually come to the games.
Yeah, we have 3 fans, but they'll love you more than anyone. So
we have many fans that will come and fill seats.
Hey, you know what? That would actually fill our seats. We forget Bryce Harper.
We have delicious cheesesteaks, not to mention Wawa, where you can build your own sandwiches.
Hey, Saga.
We have Kevin Kiermaier, who is pretty much the most handsome player in the league. Imagine him alongside Bryce Harper. I mean, what a duo.
Rocky, an American icon. That's all that has to be said.
We have St. Petersburg.
Hearts on
Russia.
fire.
It's not Russia. But like I said, you can't deny that we would have the most handsome outfield in the league.
Can't really argue with that too much.
Yeah, y'all know what Kevin Kiermaier is. Like y'all haven't. Quick Google search will fill you up.
Yeah, let me see.
No, try.
How do you spell his name?
Kiermaier.
Here we go. It looks Jewish.
What? No, he doesn't. Nah, he's a handsome dude. Like, I swear.
Looks like he has pink eye.
You have pink eye.
No, I don't. I had it at one point, but not anymore.
Yeah, you do. You have it.
No, I don't. I have red eyes because I get no sleep.
Him and Bryce Harper would be the most iconic, most fashionable duo in the league, and we'd actually have people to come watch games. So it'd be nice. You could be Tampa's savior, like Evan, but I probably won't love you as much as Longoria, but.
Look, Tampa's got to be willing to pay. That's the thing with I think the Phillies are willing to pay.
So we'll never be willing to pay. Then is what you're saying.
Look, if the Padres can give Manny Machado the deal they had, anybody. I think the only team that can't do it is the Athletics. Ever watch Moneyball? They're the good teams, the bad teams, 50 feet of crap, and there's the Athletics.
And Tampa. So we don't spend money. Like, come on. We're Tampa.
Neither do the Marlins. Do you see all the juicy talent
you
get rid of every year?
You see why people hate Florida baseball.
Because it's like, okay, we got this great talent.
We got really good teams over here.
We got guys like Josh Beckett, Dontrell Willis.
Remember Corey Dickerson, who we got for Deal of a deal? Hey, he made the All-Star game. Let's trade him. That actually happened.
All right. Well, I I think we've said just about everything. Unless you have more to add about the Harper situation.
Please sign with Tampa. I have nothing more else to add. He's not going to Tampa.
All right. Well,
if he does go to Tampa, I'm gonna go
jump off a building
No, I will go jump
and
in the
land
fountain.
land on the bouncy castle that's sitting at the bottom, like in Big Fat Lair.
Yeah, I will go jump in the fountain if he signs with Tampa.
And I will film it.
Yes,
Anyway,
you will.
Wetzel, do you have
Can I get in trouble for
anything?
that?
You might. But
Ah,
Wetzel,
crap.
do you have anything in the sports world that you'd like to add before we end things off?
Not to my knowledge.
I want
Be
basketball back.
looking at
Oh,
March
oh,
Madness here before we know it. So be
Yee
watching out
yee.
for that.
oh! Hockey deadline. The trade deadline's coming up, and Nashville's a buyer at the moment. We're looking to either get Zuccarello or Matt Duchene. It's going to cost us a pretty penny, but if
I
we
have no
get
idea.
If we get Matt Duchene, bro, we're gonna storm the West and we're gonna win the dang cup.
I
I'm
don't even know what the Flyers do at this point. They disappointed me too much the past few years.
Carter Hart do 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 Carter Hart do do do.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I do want to do something kind of special for March Madness when that comes along. You know, we're not going to know half the teams, but that's not going to stop us from doing predictions. Because look, the most unlikely of people have the best brackets every year. You see this, so
we do a live bracket fill out.
I'm probably gonna make.
Bingo. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a couple because I'm gonna be in a couple different March Madness competitions.
Man, do we do a league?
We could do something with like ESPN.
Dope.
But
I'm down.
anyway, I think we're about done. So, Sai, do you want to sing us a song?
Logan, give me a song.
Country Boy Can't Survive by Hank Williams Jr.
I don't know that song.
Oh my god.
Give him a song he knows.
Fine, Wetzel, you sing it. You're singing us out this week.
No.
This has been the AJSN Average Joe Sports Podcast. Tune in next time to hear Wetzel sing.
Preacher man says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a going dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you only get mugged if you go downtown.
Country roads, take me
me
home to the place I belong.
Join us in
West
West
Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads.
Don't ever think about stealing my bit again. We'll see you next week.
You literally told him to sing.
Don't worry about it. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, guys.
See y'all.
Bye.